Hi everyone, welcome to Replacing Teachers with AI. Hopefully you find this session useful, and I'll start off with an introduction about myself and then we'll get straight into it. Alright. So my name's Matthew Esterman. I'm a teacher of over 15 years and I've just started my own consultancy into AI, but here you can see all the different things I've been involved in over the years, and artificial intelligence being one of those, but I am a history teacher by training. So I've got a unique perspective on the use and misuse of AI in schools, but today I'm very glad to be talking to you about another area of passion of mine, which is the ways teachers can use it to actually streamline their work, and the larger story being how we can recruit and retain teachers more effectively. So a little bit more about my work currently is that I work with schools and other organisations to look at their application of AI tools, how they can use it in their work, in their context, and how they might be able to do so better. This is where I'm from. I live in Australia, I live in Sydney, and I'm about 30 minutes away from where the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge are, in a place called Parramatta. And my colleague Nick and I have just released a book called The Next Word, AI and Teachers, and this is what this presentation is mainly based on, and in particular Chapter 5, Replacing Teachers, where we discuss this topic in depth. So if you'd like to get a copy of that, it is available via our publishers, Amber Press. It's also available on Amazon, and if you want to just send me an email, you can do that as well. So the challenge of teacher shortages has become a defining crisis in education systems worldwide. Fewer people are joining the profession, and the pressures on existing teachers are really not sustainable. This shortage directly impacts student outcomes and quality education, of course. We've seen it when teachers are in areas where they're not familiar in terms of subjects or courses, but also generally the idea of mass turnover of staff in some schools does have an effect on what the school can actually provide. In countries like Australia, the UK, the United States, more than half of teachers report feeling burnt out, and the rate of teachers leaving the profession has surged in recent years. If we don't address this crisis, the consequences for students, schools, and society will be quite severe. So what should we do? Well, school leaders and others can focus on improving teacher retention by providing better support systems, such as mentorship programs for new teachers and mental health resources for all staff. And they can also, of course, advocate for competitive salaries and manageable workloads to retain experienced educators. And really, it's that last point, manageable workloads, that I want to talk about today in relation to AI, because I think AI tools and platforms can enable staff to reduce the administrative burden, reduce the less valuable work that they do, in order to increase the more valuable work that they do. So some proponents of AI platforms and tools suggest that complete automation is the solution. Nick and I in the book argue that this is what we call the reductionist model. So the model splits teaching into content delivery and environment management, or behavior management. And in this way, AI is used to automate everything, content and delivery, everything, while less qualified humans manage the classroom, or no qualified humans manage the classroom. So you imagine a classroom where a screen delivers a lecture, and perhaps an aide or an administrative person supervises behaviour of students in a particular space. Now, it might sound efficient, and there are some tools, some platforms that allow for some of this automation to occur, but it really does reduce the richness of the learning experience to that basic content consumption and classroom control. And it really misses the core aspects of teaching that nurture growth in students. So school leaders and others could and should critically evaluate which tasks are appropriate for automation. They need to ensure that automation is used to enhance teacher capacity rather than replace those critical human elements of teaching, which we'll discuss later. Leaders have to prioritise retaining qualified teachers and emphasise their role in delivering quality education. So this reductionist model doesn't really work in practice. So why doesn't this work in practice? Well, reducing teaching to these two elements oversimplifies a highly complex role. Teachers aren't just content providers, we know that. They offer so much more, including emotional support, cultural context, and individual care, elements that machines can't replicate effectively. So consider a student who's been bullied or is just struggling emotionally, academically. A teacher can recognize this. A teacher can adjust their approach. A teacher can provide comfort and support. AI tools and platforms, on the other hand, it lacks empathy and understanding to provide that sort of nuanced care. It may be able to mimic some of that, but the human element is indispensable if you want that full richness of education that we can provide. Now, it's not to say that every single lesson won't have a focus on content. Of course, some lessons do, and teachers do still have a responsibility to communicate information and content in an effective way. That might be discussing and leading a conversation in class, or even providing a lecture, but not necessarily every single lesson every single day. So, school leaders need to ensure that teachers are equipped with the time and resources that they need to provide that emotional and social support to the students. They need to provide the professional development alongside that to enhance teachers' skills in social emotional learning and student well-being. Because basically, students today who have a connection to the internet can get content. So if that's the case, and many students around the world have access to a mobile device of some sort, so they have access to the content, and quite high quality content as well. So it's not just the content isolated on its own that teachers deliver. It's all these other aspects and intertwined with the content sometimes. So that's what we need to enhance. That's what we need to lock in schools to ensure that students have a reason to still attend school and that we're respecting the professionalism of teachers. So the teacher is still critical to all of this because the teachers craft learning experiences. They read the room. They read that nuanced classroom dynamics. And they respond to unique student needs as much as possible. We might not be able to achieve it every single day, every single time, but we're the best people in terms of responding to the needs on the ground. So in terms of a pure content learning focus, perhaps some AI tools can be quite responsive to that, but it all depends on the input. And we know that humans say things that they don't mean. Students are humans. They say things they don't mean. They might say things that they don't understand. They may say things mimicking the fact that they've learned something, but they may not actually have learnt it. Teachers know to read the different signs of whether that's the case. And all of this requires emotional intelligence, flexibility, and deep understanding. So these are things that AI can't emulate right now. So imagine a teacher leading a debate in class, gauging each student's level of comfort and encouraging quieter students to speak up. This dynamic adjustment to the classroom environment fosters that engagement and confidence far beyond the current capabilities of AI. So teaching is about adapting to the moment and creating opportunities for all students to succeed. So rather than it being a purely individual and content-driven approach, it's much more environmental, collaborative, and connected. So what do school leaders and others have to do? Well, school leaders should foster environments where teachers have the autonomy to craft those creative and adaptive learning experiences. So they should also encourage collaboration amongst teachers to share the best practices in student engagement and support. And some of these might involve AI tools. I'm not saying we don't use them. I'm saying we use them when and where appropriate. So, what does this mean in practice? Where do the robots fit? Well, there's the student-teacher interaction that will always be the case. What is happening now is that the technology is becoming a sort of pseudo-teacher for some students, a pseudo-assistant to some students, a peer to some students, a coach to some students. So this student-teacher interaction where there's spontaneous conversations, they build trust together within a supportive environment, and they bring leadership of learning into the mix, and then teachers can release the student from that expectation so that they can become a more independent learner when they're ready. All that sort of experience can be augmented by AI tools, but it can also be disrupted and distracted by AI tools as well. So what might happen is in a scenario where a teacher is leading a particular conversation, or it could be a class debate, the teacher's constantly checking in with where students are up to and can adapt and adopt to where the students are. Robots can't do that as well just yet. And also, there's no trust being built with the AI per se. So the AI might play a role in this, in terms of perhaps supporting those spontaneous conversations and being able to give responses that even both humans may not have come up with themselves. But there's no trust really being built with the machine in any more than a transactional way. So what we see is to create more meaningful connections, to be able to grow those sorts of skills, sustain them over time. That's why the humans are still required in the loop. But of course, there are pros and cons to this experience as well. So you might, sorry. So how should this technology be integrated into education to enhance learning? Well, we have to learn from history. So in the book, we talk about systems like the Lancastrian system or even MOOCs, massive open online courses that were incredibly popular a few years ago and still are to some degree. But what often happens in these massive open online courses is people might join, but then many people drop off very quickly and very few people actually finish those courses. Now that might be the intent of most people, but it isn't a particularly useful system to replace what's going on at the moment. What we're hoping, Nick and I and others, is that this technology enhances learning, it emphasizes human interaction, and it actually makes what we do better. And one way we can do that is to leverage it to make our work better. So instead of replacing teachers, these AI tools can augment them. So AI can handle administrative tasks, provide personalized resources, and support differentiated instruction, allowing teachers more time to focus on what only humans can do: connect, inspire, and guide. For example, AI can grade some tests, so there are already plenty of platforms out there that generate a test and allow the AI to mark it, to be able to get a snapshot of student understanding. This can free us, teachers, from spending time on some of those one-to-one purely administrative testing regimes with students who need some extra help, but it allows us to spend more time on students who need extra help because of those tests or because of the indicators we get from those tests. So this partnership between AI and teachers ensures that the core of teaching, human connection and mentorship, is preserved while at the same time improving efficiency. So my argument is that school leaders should invest in AI tools that reduce administrative burdens and support personalised learning. And that goes for teachers as well, not just for students. Teachers can benefit from personalised learning as well. So school leaders can ensure that teachers receive proper training on how to integrate these tools effectively, focusing on how AI can enhance, not replace, the teacher's role. So like I said, we're looking at those tasks that are low value, that are overwhelming for teachers. We're trying to automate those parts of a teacher's role so that we can get through to a better place where teachers can focus on student connection. So one model people might have seen watching this for a few years now is the SAMR model, SAMR. So it stands for substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. And there's plenty of information out there and plenty of websites that you can access more information on this. But essentially what AI allows us to do is to rapidly move from the substitution model to redefinition faster than ever before. So AI can help the substitution and augmentation levels where it very quickly shifts a particular strategy or idea you've got into a digital form, but it also allows teachers to sit with the AI to talk through different options, to be able to think up different resources, and to be able to personalize in a way that we haven't been able to do before. And that's where we get to this modification and redefinition of learning activities. So teachers are still in charge of that process. Teachers are still the editors in chief of that process. But it means that the teachers are able to relegate some of the administrative thinking and doing to AI. So for example, AI could substitute traditional flashcards with interactive digital ones that provide instant feedback. At the redefinition level, students could use AI to create multimedia projects that combine video, animation, data visualization, and do so very rapidly and using one or two free tools. Now that was previously inconceivable, to be able to do all of that for free very quickly and from a mobile device. So the key is that in this case, the AI supports learning rather than replaces it. and the teacher's role is to be the guide in it. So what should school leaders do? Well, school leaders should provide professional development on the SAMR model, focusing on how AI can be used to redefine learning experiences in a meaningful way. They should encourage teachers to support and explore creative ways to use AI in the classrooms while maintaining their central role as guides. So, students themselves, how should they be using AI tools? Well, they can get explanations, they can synthesize their ideas, they can receive some initial feedback. And if all students can do this, because it really does only require some sort of mobile device and some sort of internet access, whether it's at school, at home, both, whether it's on a mobile device or a device the school provides, or in partnership with other students. It doesn't have to be individual access to these tools. Then it creates a more equitable learning environment. But it doesn't remove the need for a human teacher to provide emotional, intellectual guidance. So imagine a student struggling with a maths concept, and they use an AI tool to get additional practice and explain explanations at their own pace and in their own way. And this is an example of one of my students. She was using it for that exact thing. So whenever they need deeper understanding or motivation, it's their teacher who steps in to provide that context, encouragement, and connection. So the AI won't necessarily get to those deeper levels. It can help out with surface level learning. It can help out with some types of learning and learning activities and processes, but not necessarily everything. So school leaders should ensure that there's equitable access to AI tools for all students, providing devices and connectivity where needed. They should also train teachers to help students to use these tools effectively, ensuring that they understand when and how to seek support from both AI and their teachers. So teachers are still needed to orchestrate learning, to adapt it, to modify it, to enhance the experience on what they know about their students. AI tools are just tools. They should serve teachers, not replace them. Think of a teacher using AI to gather insights on student progress, then use those insights to adjust lesson plans to better suit the class's needs. The teacher orchestrates the learning experience, ensuring that learners are engaged and challenged appropriately. The human touch is what makes that meaningful learning. So schools can empower teachers to use these tools as part of their instructional toolkit. Not the only thing, but a very, very valuable aspect. So they can offer training and support to ensure these tools are used effectively, and leaders should also foster a culture of innovation, where teachers feel comfortable experimenting with new technologies to enhance learning. So one way to do this would, of course, be to lead professional learning where teachers share all their ideas. Very quick presentations on one tool or one idea, so that the whole school starts to see that people are experimenting and trying, all within their own rules and guidelines. But it is an effective way to bring people together and to share those ideas in very, very quick, rapid form, so that they can start to make some decisions about where to go next. So if we get it right, AI can help teachers to be more effective by reducing the workload on non-instructional tasks. So grading some sort of papers, handling repetitive paperwork, managing data, or interpreting data can be efficiently handled by AI. So those sorts of things where you're generating the same document over and over and over again, or you can come up with templates for things that you do quite regularly, AI is great at that. So AI can handle all sorts of things like preparing reports for particular stakeholders. So there might be newsletter reports that are just factual, informational reports, and they don't require a human touch as much as some other things. And maybe those are the sorts of documents that a busy principal or school leader or a busy teacher might choose to draft using AI in the first instance. So while teachers spend that save time mentoring students or developing even more creative lesson plans, and that might involve AI as well. This reallocation of time can significantly enhance the quality of education and teacher satisfaction. So school leaders should identify specific administrative tasks that can be automated and invest in AI tools that alleviate these burdens. It can be platforms that humans use, or there are even agent and other platforms out there at the moment that can completely automate those sorts of processes and administrative tasks. But the key thing is, if we can reduce the impact and the time spent on these low-value administrative tasks, we will be able to enhance our focus and improve education quality. So what does the future of education look like? It looks like building the augmented teacher. So this is a teacher who's equipped with AI tools to enhance their effectiveness and reach. Teachers will use AI to expand their capabilities, not to limit their role in the classroom. So imagine a teacher using augmented reality glasses to view real-time analytics on student engagement during a lesson. That's possible with AI tools, but it's a few steps down the way. But right now, what teachers can simply do is be able to pay more attention in class, to be able to handle the dynamics of the classroom because they have been using AI tools for some of the low-value work. So in terms of creating this augmented teacher, it requires a linking between the integration of tools, the understanding of the human connection and a supportive environment with some data-driven decisions about where the school's up to and what kind of professional learning they need. So the teacher crisis is real, but the solution isn't to replace teachers with machines. Instead, we need to embrace AI that works with teachers to make education better for the students, for the teachers, and for society. Imagine a future where AI handles all the administrative burdens, allowing teachers to do what they do best, inspire, mentor, and shape young minds. We can build a future where technology supports the irreplaceable human element of teaching, ensuring that education remains a deeply human endeavour. And what we can start to do is integrate that from the very first moment of a recruitment process to check that the humans in the school are leveraging the technologies that they have available to be able to make it an even more human experience, not less. Thank you so much for inviting me to this talk, to this conference. I'd like to finish by asking you a question. What is one task that you would like to automate at your school or in your role that might make a difference to you? Please share it. And if you'd like to get in touch, my details are there. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much.